Namaskar to everyone. Missionar Surinder Kaul. I am based in Houston. Today, I feel honored to interact with a personality who has touched thousands of hearts, thousands of lives, impacted them directly, indirectly, and एक ऐसी शख्सियत के साथ रूबरू होने जा रहे हैं जिन्होंने who has taught selflessness, who has taught seva, the actual seva for the fellow human beings and our samaj. Let me introduce to Mohan Wanchoo Ji. Mohan Wanchoo Ji is based in New York. He wears multiple hats. He is a acclaimed professional. He is an accomplished entrepreneur. He is a person whose heart beats for Samaj, whose heart beats for Bharat. And through his outstanding, constant service for decades, it's today our good fortune that we have Mohanji with us. We'll know about him, his life in India, his education, his businesses, his charities. तो आज का कार्यक्रम ज्यादातर फोकस रहेगा ऑन चैरिटीज और खास तौर पे आई वुड लाइक टू टेल यू दैट रिसेंटली मोहन वांचू जी did an endowment program of 1 million US dollars with Kashmiri Overseas Association USA. तो उस बारे में भी बातचीत होगी कि इसके बेनिफिशियरीज कौन हैं, स्टूडेंट्स हमारे समाज के, और कैसे उनको बेनिफिट मिलेगा एंड हाउ दे हैव टू, उसके बारे में भी बातचीत होगी. इसके अलावा मोहन जी हैज बीन इन्वॉल्व इन 9 चैरिटीज, बिग चैरिटीज, और व्हाट ही डज देयर, हाउ ही डज देयर, उसके बारे में भी कुछ क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशंस होंगे. So it's going to be a very enlightening session. I request you all to join, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. In addition to his charities, he does a lot of community work through different organizations, including Global Kashmiri Pandit Diaspora, and we are fortunate to have him as one of the US coordinators of Global Kashmiri Pandit Diaspora. You might have watched the Kashmir Files, and जो कश्मीर फाइल्स का डिजिटल डिस्प्ले टाइम स्क्वायर पे हुआ था इन न्यूयॉर्क, पहली बार हमारी एक जो मूवी टाइम स्क्वायर पे वहाँ पे डिजिटल हुआ, वहाँ पे उसका ऐड हुआ, दैट द आर्किटेक्ट ऑफ दैट वाज मोहन वांचू जी. So without further ado, Mohanji, let me bring you in. Namaskar to you, and kindly welcome our audience. Mohanji, floor is yours. And while we talk, while you do namaskar to our Samaj, you can make an opening statement about your education, about your upbringing in India, and basically then we'll move on.
Namaskar, Surinder Ji. Thank you so much for having me on your show. This is indeed a honor and a privilege to be here with all of you and our wider global Kashmiri Pandit community all over the world and in India. So, Hamara Sagni Namaskar. Namaskar to everyone who's watching this program. So, Surinder Ji, a little bit about myself. I'll keep it very short. I was born and brought up in Delhi. And that's because my father was a professor of physics at St. Joseph's College in Baramulla. And during the Kabali raid, he said that he saw the Kabalis going through the playground, and he and the students, went into hiding, waited for the dark, and then came back to Srinagar. From Srinagar, he moved his entire family over to Delhi. and I was born in Delhi a few years later. Um, in in Delhi, we had a very protective and a kind of a cocooned environment where the Kashmiri Pandit heritage was preserved. We celebrated all Kashmiri holidays and festivals like Shivratri and all the other festivals. Ate Kashmiri food, spoke the Kashmiri language, and that's how I grew up. So I did not feel that I was growing up in Delhi. I just felt that I was growing up in Kashmir because our parents held on to the Kashmiri Pandit culture, and the relatives that used to visit us were either from Kashmir or uh, other folks that had also ran away from Kashmir at the same time, and they would visit us and we would visit them in Delhi. So my upbringing was in a traditional Kashmiri environment. I did my schooling at St. Xavier School in Delhi, and then I did my bachelor's degree from St. Stephen's College, again in Delhi, in physics. Physics was running in the family, so I pursued physics. And then I came to the US in 1981 and pursued a master's in computer science here in New York. I started out in Columbia University in New York and finally finished off from New York Institute of Technology, again in New York. So that is about my educational background.
This is excellent. Starting from your lineage from Baramulla, Srinagar, Delhi, I mean, say hats off to your parents, how they have inculcated the sanskars of Kashmiri Pandit way of living, where you remain in touch with our rituals, with our customs, with overall community landscape. और उसके बाद आप यूएस में भी आए and you have always maintained that through and through. By the way, Mohan ji speaks a very fluent Kashmiri, but we are talking in English and Hindi and Kashmiri so that it reaches out to more and more people. So I know, tell us about your recent. I know I have known you for decades, and we have a very personal interactions on multiple for last so many years. But when you shared your profile, I must admit that I knew only 3 or 4% of your charity that you have been doing. What caught my attention was your recent endowment to of $1 million, US $1 million towards scholarships and higher education for our community Samaj. So please apprise us about that endowment program. What are your objectives? What do you want to see? What are your expectations? And who the beneficiaries will be?
Sure. So I'd like to kind of frame it in a slightly wider perspective. See, when my parents ran away from Kashmir, the only thing that came to their rescue was their education. Had my father not been, well educated, he would have had a tough time to start in a new environment in Delhi, which was 100 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit and 48 degrees centigrade in Delhi. So different from the wonderful cold climate that we've enjoyed in Kashmir. And similarly, the folks that had to run away from Kashmir in the unfortunate time of the 1990s faced a similar dilemma. Most of them were able to resettle themselves in new places that were either hostile or not very friendly or very different from the environment that we used to live in Kashmir. And again, education is the only thing that came to their rescue when they were a new environment. I feel that education is like a Duracell battery. You carry that battery with you wherever you go. You can plug in any appliance, based on the battery. Now, what education does is not give somebody a fish, but it teaches someone how to fish. And therefore, I figured that the best way of helping our community is by helping them do what we do best, which is education. Kashmiri Pandits are known throughout India and throughout worldwide for our education. So, what better way would it be to help our community in the field of education? Now, I don't want to preach to the choir, but so many children lost either both their parents or one of their parents, in the genocide that we experienced in the 1990s, and many parents are still struggling to help pay for their education of the children and for healthcare, etc., etc. So that was the driver why I came up, with this endowment. The endowment will stay in perpetuity, forever, and we will use the interest that the endowment will earn to pay for the scholarships for Kashmiri Pandit children, primarily, in the camps, in the transit camps, and throughout the rest of India, wherever Kashmiri Pandits, are struggling, and these scholarships, will come to their rescue. Now, the scholarships, will be offered on a merit come means basis. So that means if you're good at studies, and if you do not have the financial ability to pay for your education, well, these scholarships, will certainly help in achieving goals, for our young community. I do want to clarify that these scholarships will be offered for higher education. They will not be for high school education, but for higher education, because recently we've seen there's a big jump in the tuition cost at colleges. For example, I'll just give you a point of reference. When I did my education in physics at St. Stephen's College, my fees was only 250 rupees for the whole month. Sorry, for the whole year. We used to pay 125 per semester, so that used to be 250 rupees for the entire year. Now, at IITs, I'm hearing that it's a range from 1 lakh to 2 lakh rupees per year. Now, that's a financial strain on many Kashmiri Pandit parents that are still struggling, having left their homeland, and these will come to their assistance. And another thing I'd like to add is that traditionally, Kashmiri Pandits have focused on STEM courses like medical, engineering, computer science, mathematics, etc., etc. But these scholarships will also be offered to students who want to take further studies up in, let's say, Sanskrit, or let's say Indic studies, or any social good that they want to do. Because the job of a Pandit and the job of a Brahmin is really, to first get educated and then educate the community. So why focus only on the STEM courses? Kashmir has this rich heritage of everything that Hinduism has to offer. Well, I wouldn't say everything, but quite a bit of it, and we want to continue that tradition so that this helps our youth.
This is brilliant, Mohanji. I mean, say, I know that in our Samaj we focus more on engineering being a physician, PhD, scientists, professors, but it's a good thing that you are extending this benefit to other areas of Indic civilization, of Kashmiri heritage, Kashmir civilization, arts, literature. So that is really very phenomenal. I request all our community members to spread this voice so that more and more students of our community gets the benefit of all these endowment programs that Mohanji just shared. This will happen through Kashmiri Overseas Association USA, which is doing a path-breaking work for decades. Uh, so, Mohanji, my next area is that while I was seeing your profile, you work with Ekal Vidyalay, you work with Shankarai Foundation, you work with orphanage. Can you please give a description of all other charities that you are involved with?
So, Surinderji, that's a tall order because I'm associated actively with
Just, I will
nine.
interject you here for a second.
So,
By the way, Mohanji doesn't like to share what he does, as we all do, that philanthropy is something that is not for display. That's not for, he comes from that school of thought, but it took me a lot of time to convince him that you are doing a program for our Samaj and our Samaj should know about it. The students of our Samaj should know about it. So please do that. And then I know that he does a lot of charities as we get to know, but there was a purpose why I requested him to just come on the podcast because recently there was some thing about NRI Bhattas, NRI Bhattas. So some of the people went into a self-destructive mode. So it took me a lot of effort to convince Mohanji to come out. But normally he doesn't come out and share all these things. But I should be very thankful to Mohanji that he came in. And please carry on with your tall order of charities that you have been doing. It acts as a positive influence as well. Please carry on.
sure, Surinderji, I'll be happy to speak about them. And as you rightly said, they say, when you do charity, one hand should not know what the other hand is doing. And we kind of practice that. But I do realize the objective of this is to kind of share with our Kashmiri Pandit brothers and sisters the value of charity. So I'll be happy to talk about that. So yes, you rightly asked about Ekal Vidyalay. Ekal Vidyalay is a organization that is about 30 years old, and it runs one teacher schools in 89,000 villages and tribal areas of India. This is, a huge number because through these schools, Ekal teaches about 2.5 million children for free every single year. And you'll be very happy to know that half of these children are girls because girl child education has always, been trailing in India. And therefore, the focus on the girl child in Ekal Vidyalay is pretty strong. Now, how does Ekal Vidyalay reach 89,000 schools? Very easy. It does not have any buildings, no structure. The classes are offered underneath a tree. They put a dari on the ground and teach the students under a tree, or they may pick, the courtyard of the village mukhya or the sarpanch, and the classes are held there. Ekal Vidyalaya is a primary school structure. So they teach from kindergarten to the fifth grade. And they teach them Hindi, mathematics, science, you'll be surprised, and Sanskar Shiksha. and the local language of that village. Sorry, not of that village, of the state. So let's say if the village is in Gujarat, they'll teach them Gujarati. Um, the biggest claim to fame of Ekal Vidyalaya is the Sanskar Shiksha that they offer, to these students. In the Sanskar Shiksha, they teach them the basics of good etiquette, our duties to our family, our environment, our country. They teach them how to be good human beings, and a lot of these things. You will also be surprised that Ekal Vidyalaya runs 400 schools in the valley. 400 schools. It's a huge number. And I was once speaking, with the founder of Ekal Vidyalaya, and this came as actually a surprise to me as well. He said, मोहन जी आपको पता है कि टेररिज्म को रोकने में एकल विद्यालय की बहुत बड़ा योगदान है. I said, how? I said, first of all, how do you teach the Muslim children, in these villages? Because those are the only students that are there. He said, you will listen to this and you'll be surprised. He said, when we started these villages in the valley, the local people were a little, cautious. They weren't sure what we would be teaching them. But as we started teaching them, they were very thankful. Why? Because they were thankful because the parents told us that through your education that you're giving our children, we are able to stop them from getting pulled away by terrorists. Because terrorists used to take these small children away at a very young age, and then they would train them to be terrorists. Now with Ekal Vidyalaya, the parents did not want these kids to be terrorists. The kids are now getting education, and after the fifth grade, then they go to a middle school in Kashmir, and then they try to become good citizens. And that is how the terrorism was kind of nipped at the root by Ekal Vidyalaya, only because they have 400 schools running in the valley, and through the cooperation of the parents, they were very successful, and they want more Ekal Vidyalayas to be opened in the Kashmir Valley. So this was, a great contribution of Ekal Vidyalaya to J&K itself. Um, you you may ask, so after these students finish their education, what kind of work do they do? And the work that the folks who get education at Ekal Vidya later on in their life work as teachers. They join the armed forces. They become engineers and doctors. Some of them stay in the village and help grow cottage industries there. They become entrepreneurs. And the best thing of all is that they become good citizens. And that is the claim to fame of Ekal Vidyalaya. We have a trophy student. Her name is Pinky Karmakar. Pinky grew up in Assam on a tea estate. And then later on, when she grew up, she was given the responsibility of carrying the Olympic torch in the 2012 Olympics in England. So she was the pride of our nation, and she was given this task.
Yeah.
Um,
Mohanji, I want you to just go over different charities because I have a
sure,
lot of questions for you after that actual thing we will start. But you just spend some time on other charities. And
sure, sure, sure. So another charity that I support is Vidya Bharati. Vidya Bharati goes from kindergarten to all the way to grade 12. And they also teach about 3 million children. However, some children pay for their education, the ones that have the means, and the others get free education. So many Ekal Vidyalaya students, after they finish Ekal Vidyalaya, they go to Vidya Bharati, and Vidya Bharati they find a similar environment, where they teach them the values of Hindu dharma, as they say, dharmo rakshitah, dharmo rakshati rakshitah. He who protects their dharma, dharma protects them. It's a similar kind of environment. And Vidya Bharati also has lots and lots of alumni that are at very, very prestigious positions within India. And that's something about Vidya Bharati. Another organization that I support is Shankara Eye Foundation. So Shankara Eye Foundation is a charity that performs free eye surgeries for the poorest of the poor in the villages of India. They have 25 eye specialty hospitals, all the way from Punjab to Kanyakumari, sorry, and from Gujarat to Assam. Um, and their model is they go to these villages and tribal areas, and they perform, eye testing camps. Through these camps, they find out which patients need eye surgeries, and then in about a couple of weeks, they send a bus to these villages, pick up these patients from these villages, bring them over to the hospital, feed them, prepare them for the surgery the next day. The surgery is performed the next day, and after about a recovery period of a day or two, the same bus takes them back to these villages and drops them off back. So the villagers do not have to find transportation, etc., because many of these villagers don't even know where the nearest eye hospital is. Shankara Eye Foundation currently performs 500,000 free eye surgeries every single year. Their goal is to perform 1 million free eye surgeries every year, because there are 1 million new cases of blindness and visual impairment that come into India every single year. So they want to at least address the new cases, and that will still leave a backlog of 40 million blind or visually impaired people that are in India. India has the largest number of visually impaired people in the whole world. So we hold music programs for Shankarai Foundation and also for Ekal Vidyalaya and Vidya Bharati, etc. In most of the major cities in the United States. And then we also hold a once a year annual gala in New York City at a prestigious venue where we raise upwards of, let's say, $1 million, all the way to $4 or $5 million, and that helps them to pay for these surgeries. I do want to clarify that people should not get the impression that they only receive funding from India. They receive equal funding from India as well. I'm sorry, sorry. I'm sorry. I wanted to clarify that they do not receive funding only from the US, but they receive significant funding from India as well. So there are lots of funds that they raise from India, and it's a joint collaboration between India and the rest of the world, which helps these organizations meet their goals. Another organization that I support uh, is not only for the visually impaired, but it is for the people who are completely blind. And this organization is called Samarthanam. Its headquarters is in Bangalore, and it is run by blind people for the blind people. And what they do is they educate blind children. They give them advanced education at universities and colleges. They prepare them through coaching classes to find jobs, and also run a, a customer service center in Bangalore where they employ all blind trained folks to offer technical support and customer service to customers who call in, for help. So don't be surprised if you have a technical issue and you make a call from the US. There may be somebody from Samarthanam who may be offering you technical support or customer service with the issues that you may be having. Um, Samarthanam also comes to the US. They have two excellent singers. They are called Samarthanam sisters. They are absolutely amazing singers. And from this year, they've started coming to the US and they are touring a few cities and raise funds to support the operation back in India. Another organization that I support is called SHIOS, and that stands for Saint Hardayal Education of Educational Orphan Society. Um, there's a before well, let me just kind of start off by describing what this charity does. Recently, we've seen there's a new phenomenon occurring in India with the youth becoming more and more busy with their jobs and for other reasons. Some of the children are abandoning their parents. And the way they abandon their parents is that they will leave them at a railway station, or they'll leave them in front of a temple, or they'll leave them in front of a bus stand. Many of these unfortunate parents are suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia, and they don't even know their name. They don't know where their home is. So Shios has some vans that drive around Delhi, and they pick up these senior citizens that they are able to spot that they have been abandoned. They bring them to their ashram, give them medical treatment, and after they are stabilized medically and given food and all of that, then they transport them to the main ashram in Garmukteshwar on the banks of the river Ganga in UP. So a few years back, what happened was some Kashmiri Pandit um, person, child. Well, I can't call them child. Some Kashmiri Pandit folks. They abandoned their father at the Jammu bus stand, and I received a call from KP volunteers and Mr. Kaul, and he said, a old person has been abandoned at the Jammu bus stand. Can you help us? I said, yeah, I'll certainly help. So I called up the CEO of Shios, and Shios sent a person all the way from Delhi to Jammu to pick up this gentleman. And we requested Mr. Vikram Kaul, who's running KP volunteers, to please get permission from the local police station there, because we did not want to get into any trouble with the children later on who may accuse us of removing their father, without their permission. So they gave them, they gave him a good bath, and the a volunteer from Shios picked up this gentleman. I do not want to disclose his name. Brought him back to ashram. He was given medical treatment for almost about 3 weeks. He was in really, really bad shape health wise, and showers and all of that. And then they moved him over to their ashram in Garmukteshwar. One very troublesome thing is that when these children abandon their parents, they come looking for them after the parents die because they are looking for their property papers. It is it is mind-boggling how human beings, go through this transformation. The same parents that have brought us into this world and have made us successful, whatever we are, is because of them. The same parents are abandoned, and then when they leave this world, they go after their property. Anyway, that is an unfortunate situation, but it certainly is there. Um, Another organization that I support is the Art of Living and their subsidiary International Association for Human Values. As you know, Art of Living is run by Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Ji Maharaj, and what they do is they offer this um, uh, program in pranayam. So what happens is they've been able to show that through pranayam, and it's really the Bhastrika pranayam, that the mind goes through a transformation. And there is research that International Association for Human Values has done along with Harvard and other universities, where they've collected data on how the human beings go through some sort of a transformation through pranayama. So um, this Art of Living IAHV organization offers programs in schools and correctional facilities and veterans administrations. There's a school right here on Long Island, which we visited, where this program has been offered, for the last many years. And we were very happy to know from the principal of the school, who sat us down, and she was really praising the work that Art of Living is doing. She said, I am very happy to report that there's an 80% reduction, 80% reduction in gang violence and disobedience cases in my school. Because on Long Island, there is one district, you may all know about it, it's called Freeport. And Freeport, is a district, which is crime ridden. There's a lot of crime in Freeport. And this school is right in the heart of Freeport. And the principal was telling us that there's an 80% reduction of uh, cases of gang violence and disobedience. Not only that, there are this program is also offered in some correctional facilities, in New York City, and they have a similar reduction in the number of repeat criminals that come back into the prison. They are telling us that the repeat criminals that there used to be, there's a reduction in those criminals after they leave the prison. They are given this course, or no, I'm sorry, they're given this course while they're in the prison itself, and there's a marked reduction in the number of cases, and a similar performance in the veterans administration, because veterans go through a very, very tough time at war, and they suffer a lot mentally. and they need also a lot of help. Another organization that I support is called Vatsalyagram. Vatsalyagram is run by Sadhvi Ritambara Deviji. They call her also Didima, and she runs Vatsalyagram in Mathura and Vrindavan, and also another place in Himachal Pradesh. And this is also a very novel concept. So, what she does is she brings orphans and widows together and puts them in a house. And then she also has a one senior citizen widow in the house. So, in doing so, the children get their mother, the children get their grandmother, the mother gets her children, and she also gets her mother, and the grandma gets her child and her grandchildren. What a novel concept. And this is how, she recreates a home for people who've been kind of, who lost their loved ones due to, some unfortunate circumstances. And the way these homes function is very simple. The children are, prepared to go to school in the morning. They go to school, they come back, they have lunch, they play, they study, and then they are they are sent for higher education in college. Then she helps them find jobs again through coaching and all of that. She also goes an extra step. She finds matches for the grooms, and she finds matches for the brides, gets them married at the ashram itself, and then they move out of the ashram and lead very, very helpful lives. In fact, their children that come out are so sought after by other boys. For example, the girls that come out of this ashram are so sought after by boys because they are full of virtues. And similarly, the boys that come out of these ashrams, they are full of virtues. The girls, go looking for them. It is an absolute amazing thing that she does. She transforms the lives of these children who otherwise would have been in a very bad situation. So and we also try to help them because we try to help in terms of offering training for clearing the IAS exams,
Oh,
because we thought what a wonderful idea if these kids who've got the best values that any kid can have, if they grow to become administrators in the Indian Administrative Service, what wonderful IAS officers we would have. So somehow that program, is still in the works. But when it happens, that will bring tremendous success, to these folks. So I know we have a time limitation. I can keep going on and on and on because there is just so much impact that these organizations have on the people that they serve and the people that they support. These are stories that can move anyone, and more people can get involved, with these efforts. And I hope that all the listeners who are watching us and listening to us, they somehow get inspired, and they try to help someone in whichever way they would like. There's a whole wide world out there that needs our help.
yeah. Mohanji, it is mind boggling. It's mind boggling what one can do. What you are doing is saintly. You are a saint, you know. Well, I feel this is not ordinary. This is something extraordinary. And it's not a small donation, it's a big time donations going to these charities. And he doesn't only do donations, he does fundraising. He's involved with the fundraising with these organizations as well. So he's not just a donor, he is a doer also. He is involved in the fundraising, involved with these organizations. In addition to this, I know you are a big time donor to KOA, you are a big time donor to HAF, you are a big time donor to GKPD doesn't have an account, but whenever we have some programs, you are always there to help. So let me ask you certain questions. There are a few questions that audience in this podcast have also raised. But before doing that, based on your profile, I had made a few questions, and I would like to ask you those questions. So if you feel uncomfortable with them, you can pass them on. You don't have to. So the first question that, after going through your profile, is that you have said, I feel like I have done enough for myself. Was there a specific trigger, a person, a trip, a moment that crystallized that shift, that what you are, what you have been doing?
So, I've been involved in charitable activities for a very long time, many decades. Um, when I was, I remember in my high school days, I used to go on a bicycle from my home in Delhi over a hill. And then after the hill was my high school, St. Xavier's. One day, in the middle of that 120 degrees heat in May, as I was bicycling on that hill, and mind you, it was going up, not down. So the thought came to me because I saw some poor folks, who were living on that hill and in that heat and in a very, very tough environment. Although nobody's supposed to live there, it's supposed to be a green belt in Delhi, but people put up their juggies, so they couldn't do anything. So I was thinking, if at some point I had some ability, I would love to, do something for these folks. But I was a student. I couldn't do anything, and so that thought, stayed in my mind. And then I was busy, running the company, putting food on the table for the family, and growing the business and all of that. But while I was doing that, the thoughts were running in the back of my mind that I have to do something for the folks, that are not as fortunate as we are. We've also left our home, but God has been kind to us. At least we have, a job, a home, and a family life there. But there are so many folks that do not. So then I started, to support, some charitable organizations, and that's how it started. Then about 5 years ago or 4 years ago, I had a successful um, liquidation event of my previous company. And then I started my second software company after that, which I'm running now. But I have a lot more time now than I used to have when I had my first company because the goals were different at that time. I used to work 19 to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. I've done that for 20 years in a row. Never taken a vacation the first 18, 19 years. Never.
Wow.
Um, Only in my latter years, I started taking a vacation. But charity, I was doing, even when I was running the company. Whenever I would get an opportunity, I'd go and support these organizations. I would run fundraisers for them, and I was still spending a significant amount of time, even when I was running my first company, because there was just so much to do in the charitable space. However, now that I'm running my second company, I have a lot more time available now. And therefore, now I'm spending even more time with charitable organizations than I used to be able to spend earlier. So there's never been a flip switch, an aha moment or something in my life. It's been kind of growing on me, and it's continued.
Yeah, excellent. I would like to request all our community youngsters who come across your video. You should always feel proud of our community, the resilience of our community. Even though we are a very small community, but you should see that the networking is very huge. The way our community members have become so resilient and see the seva bhav, we all should feel proud of that. Especially to youngsters, I would like to say, resilience is such a thing. If you are determined, your perseverance, you will succeed. And this is what lessons we should take from Mohanji's presentation this time. Moving to the next question, you now work with nine different Indian charities. I think two of them are US based, basically, spanning education, eye care, elder care, and orphan welfare. How do you personally decide where your time and resources should go? Now, I know you answered that you have more time, but still, this question to you.
Sure, sure. So there's no hard and fast rule. What happens is that all these charities need financial help because that's what keeps these charities going. So at some point or the other, there is one of these nine charities that we have to do work for, mainly fundraisers, and then all the other things that go along with that. So let's say we are in the month of August. So let's say in the month of August, there's some charity that is doing an event. Um, Almost all of the time gets spent on that charity, and then when that kind of work subsides a little bit, there's time for another charity to step up, for me to step up and help them out. So that charity gets my time. So in other words, as they say, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's the same situation. um, Between all these charities, whichever charity needs more time, that's the charity that I spend more time on.
Excellent. I had framed some questions about Ekal Vidyalay, Shankarai Foundation, Shios, Vatsalyagram. You have already explained them. This was basically just to know what do they do. My next question to you, Mohanji, is what does the life-changing feeling of bringing happiness to someone else's life mean to you today compared to when you started this journey?
Sure, that's a good question. Um, when I was running my first company, as I mentioned earlier, the top priority was, to grow the company to become the largest company in the US. And I was, with God's grace, lucky enough to do that, and to support the family. And there was hardly any time left for anything else. Yet I somehow, found a little time here and there, whenever I could, and I would, spend on these charitable uh, causes. However, after I exited the first company, and now that I'm running the second one, there is time that I have to reflect on the past and to reflect on what the purpose of life is. And you know the the famous upadesha of Bhagwan Shri Krishna to Arjuna, rings in your mind, that the only thing that we have a right on is our karma, and we do not have the right on its fruit, because that right is with Bhagwan Shri Krishna, or whichever Bhagwan we believe in. Um, so the right to our karma is the only right we have. So if we perform our duty and leave the rest to God, that's all within our hands. So that's all we can do. And in doing so, you feel that you are doing the right thing, whatever we are required to do to help our fellow human beings. That's the greatest thing that we can do for our fellow human beings.
Wonderful, wonderful. I will take some questions from the Facebook Live that we had. There's a question from Subhash Shi Jaduji. He says, Dear, let us establish Ekalya Vidyalaya in Muthi like camps and upgrade those to J&K board standard since there is no chance for Kashmiri Hindus to return to Kashmir. So, what is your thing about those of our students who are living in camps? Can some.
So two things in the gentleman's question. Um, one half is, how about um, uh, starting an Ekal Vidyalaya in the Muthi camp, and the second half was, there's no chance of Kashmiri Pandits returning to Kashmir. Let me address the second half first. Um, I'm a firm believer that Kashmiri Pandits will return to Kashmir. That has been our motherland for 5,000 plus years. And that has been the source of inspiration and knowledge. And I don't want to go, a lot into that because it's a very open-ended, conversation there. But all I'll say is Kashmir has contributed significantly to our Hindu dharma, and we can just not even think about that. We will not return to Kashmir. That is just not going to happen. We will return to Kashmir today, tomorrow, next year, whenever, but we will return to Kashmir. Okay. History also proves that there were 7 exoduses, and if we had that attitude, then we would not have survived, and we would have not gone there seven times. Anyway, so enough about that conversation. Um, I will be happy to speak with Ekal Vidyalaya leadership and see if we can establish a camp in Muthi. Ekal Vidyalaya model is really that they operate only in villages and tribal areas. And Muthi camp, is not really a village. However, I'll make a special request and see if they could help out, in that manner. I mean, what better service would there be if Ekal Vidyalaya does finally decide, to open a Vidyalaya in the Muthi camp?
Thank you, Mohanji. I would like to apprise the audience that, during our recent heritage tour and conclave in Kashmir, we went to various PM package employees transit camps. And we're very happy that Sanjeevani Sharda Kendra has opened computer labs in 4 or 5 transit camps. Now, as we know that these new transit camps are going to open in next few months, and the total strength may reach around I don't know, it will increase. So actually, what we have been doing, we are exploring one of the project that GKPD is doing with other partner organizations, is to establish computer labs in all the transit camps where they have exposure to some education, basic education, some higher education in the camp itself. In fact, Mohanji recently had a big interaction with Avtarji of Sanjeevani Sharda Kendra, Avtar Takrusa. And basically, we are working on it that to see that we are able to do something for our brethren in these PM package employee transit camps, especially to expose their kids. So this is a project in going, and actually Mohanji is doing a lot of research on that, and he's going to get back with all of us, including Sanjeevani Sharda Kendra also. So I just wanted to let you know that he is not involved only in Indian, but also for community, like his endowment program of $1 million to KOA for our community members, our community kids. Similarly, certain projects in Kashmir. So these are the projects which are going on. We will let you know in real time as and when something very positive will happen. But these are the things that's already in our scheme of things. There's a question, Mohanji, by Bamzai Saab, Rameshwar Bamzai Saab. Any thoughts on how to bring together KP philanthropists to pool individual resources for well defined goals for the community in the near future? The coverage and impact would be visible for the younger, underprivileged KP children.
Bamzai Saab, this is a excellent suggestion. I've been giving it some thought, recently, and that is the need of the hour. There are Kashmiri Pandit folks, that left their homes and they are doing, well with God's grace. And if we could get them all together and then, spread the goodness even to a larger scale, so much the better. And we are kind of thinking about how to make that happen. So please stay tuned. Um, uh, whenever there's something that can be put together, we will certainly come with that information.
Thank you, Mohanji. I think there are lots of kudos to you from our audience. Uh, I see Nija Matuji is saying, fantastic, brother. Your selfless support to many charitable organizations is inspirational. And as an entrepreneurial leader, you are a role model to the community and the youth. Proud of you. Stay blessed always. Anjali ji is saying, Mohan ji, what an amazing work you are doing, and that too very silently. We had no idea you are such an inspiration for everyone, especially our community. My namaskar to you. Your saintly work regards. Yes, Rameshwar Bandeji saying, yes, your work is saintly. Banslal Matuji is saying kudos to Mohan Wanchoo Ji for this stupendous charity work. Utpal ji is saying Mohan Wanchoo Ji is an inspiration for all of us. We need to learn from him how to support who need it. And then so all positive. This is how all these things, it becomes contagious. We want it to become contagious, so that more and more people follow your lines. That includes me also. So I think the time has come to bring closure to it. You want to make any closing statement, Mohan?
Sure, Mara. Um,
And before you do
we
that, I definitely want you to give some advice to some disgruntled elements of our community who, at the drop of their hat, creates a wedge between community, divides the community, NRI community, Indian community, rural community, urban community. What is your advice for them? And you can then do your closing statements, and then we will do namaskar to everyone.
Sure, sure. So, Mara, the only clarification I'd like to offer is that you know There is no difference between the Kashmiri Pandits who are living in India and the NRIs who are living in the United States and other countries. Now, why do I say that? The Kashmiri Pandits who are actually not living in Jammu, they could be living in Delhi, they could be living in Bombay, Madras, Pune, whatever. If let's say their parents, have an health problem, or their brothers or sisters, have a health problem, what do? They get on a plane and go to, their parents, in Jammu or whoever, they have to go to, or they take a train and they go there. Let's say we are living in the United States and our parents are living in Jammu. What would we do? We'd get on a plane and go to Jammu the next day. Where's the difference? There is no difference, Mara. This NRI concept, that we hear is actually just, a self-made concept. It's a limitation and a branding that people have done. We may have left Kashmir, but Kashmir has not left our heart. Kashmir still lives in our heart. So if our family member has a problem, health problem, or whatever other problem, they may have, we are just, one flight away from them as our brothers and sisters are in India. So there's really no difference. Another thing I'd like to, clarify. We talk about NRIs, doing this, NRI doing that, etc., etc. Do these folks know that we, the same NRIs, have been supporting KOA's SAC program, which is called Support a Child, right? And these programs, give free education to children in the schools, in these camps. And we NRIs have been doing this for the last 36 years. And KOA has been doing this. There's another program that KOA runs. It's called EAC, Educational Assistance Program, and that is for higher education in colleges. We NRIs have been supporting that EAC program for many years. There's another program called Family Sustenance Program. Since we went through a very tough time in the 1990s, many folks in Jammu and other places have been finding it very difficult to survive. KOA NRIs have been supporting these families in the family sustenance program. I can just keep on going on and on. So the same NRIs that they accuse of, they are they are different people. No, I beg to differ. Our heart is in Kashmir. We have all these things that we have that we it's a data that we have that shows that we are connected with Kashmir, and not just superficially connected. We are actually doing seva. So it is. It's, I think, time for these folks to reflect on themselves and really kind of figure out, whether their comments are made, in good faith or not. That's all I'll say.
Thank you, Mohanji. It has been a wonderful, enlightening discussion, knowing you more and more. As I said, that you are a saint. And I would like to I will close this session with Kashi Akunji's statement, which I did not read. And after that, I will close this session. So, Kashi Akunji is saying this podcast is a valuable lesson for all of us. It is both inspiring and informative. Even a few hundred members of our community join hands with Mohan ji, Surinder ji, and other philanthropists in our community, we can make a significant difference. Together, we can help every needy member of our community move towards prosperity and ensure that many deserving children receive the highest standards of education. United efforts and a shared commitment can transform countless lives. We have many KP organizations like KSS Faridabad, KPA Mumbai, KP Association Bangalore, Sharika Foundation Jammu, and many organization groups like Abhinav Gupta Shakti Veers doing a wonderful job for providing scholarships. Yes, I agree. I know we talked more about the KOA. That doesn't steal the great work that our Indian organizations have been doing, and you have already named them. And there are a lot of path breaking work going on from all these shining organizations in India. So, thank you so much for being with us. So, one more time, namaskar to all of you, and thanks. Namaskar, Mohanji, once again.
Thank you very much, Surendraji, and namaskar to all our listeners and viewers all over the world and in India. Thank you, Maharaj. Namaskar.